Hi everybody, my team is confirmed by Juan Pablo Reservo Patiño, Juan Esteban Bedoya, and Dab Leon. And we are going to talk about Russia's cage framework. So let's start with culture and first with population. Thanks to the large area of Russia, the country is one of the most populated in the world. Over 145 million of people occupying the ninth position. However, again, thanks to this large area, Russia is in the lowest position of population density, occupying the 15th position, having 9 inhabitants per square kilometer. In this chart, we can see the age and gender distribution in Russia. We see an equal distribution of men and women, and also we can see that 44% of the population is between 25 and 54 years old, which means Russia has a large labor force. Now let's see some important aspects in the Hofstede's insights. And let's start with power of distance. Russia has a high score in this dimension. So we can say in Russia, there's a big gap between the poor person and the wealthy. We can see this information in these examples. 2/3 of all foreign investments go into Moscow, whereas 80% of all financial potential is concentrated. A worrying fact about this aspect is that according to the EU Fiscal Observatory, the richest 1% of Russian citizens own 48% of the country's wealth. About uncertainty avoidance with a score of 95, Russian are people who like so much the detailed planning. There are no middle points, the things are planned or not. On the other side, when Russians engage with individuals they perceive as strangers, they often display a high level of formality and distance. Simultaneously, formality is employed as a gesture of respect. About long-term orientation, here I would like to show you the comparison between Russia and Colombia, because both have opposite results. Colombians, with a 13 score, exhibited with respect for tradition, a relatively small propensity to save for the future, and a focus on achieve quick results. On the other hand, Russians show an ability to adapt tradition easily to change conditions, and a strong propensity to save and invest, and perseverance and in achieve results. About indulgence and related with indulgence, here there is also a big difference between Russia and Colombia. Different to us, Russia have the perception that their actions are restrained by social norms and feel that indulging themselves is something wrong. Restrained societies don't put much emphasis on leisure time and control the gratification of their desires. Now, let's talk about some components of culture. About aesthetic, Russia has a rich cultural tradition encompassing literature, music, dance, and visual art. Prominent Russian writers include Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and Chekhov. In music, Russia is renowned for composers like Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff. And Russian ballet is globally acclaimed, with the Bolshoi Theatre and the Mariinsky Theatre as notable institutions. Values and attitudes in Russia can vary widely due to cultural diversity and generational difference. However, here are some common values and attitudes often associated with Russian society. Family and community, patriotism, respect for authority, tolerance of ambiguity, hospitality, value of education, resilience and adaptability, and religion and spirituality. It is worth to mention that the most professed religion in Russia is Russian Orthodox, and other religions such as Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, and various Christian denominations are also practiced. About manner and custom in Russia reflects the country's rich history and diverse cultural influence. Here are some important manners and customs to be aware of. Greetings, gift giving, visiting homes, table etiquette, dress code, politeness, public behavior. And about social structure, the social structure is complex and has evolved over the centuries. It has been influenced by historical, cultural, and economic factors, and here is simply the overview of the social structure contemporary in Russia. Upper class, this includes wealthy individuals, oligarchs, and high-ranking officials. The upper class often has significant economic and political influence. The middle class in Russia has been growing, but it is still relatively small compared to Western countries. It includes professional business owners and those with moderate incomes. Finally, the working class consists of people employed in various industries, including manufacture, agriculture, and services. And about social mobility, in Russia has increased since the end of the post on the Soviet era, but it is still varies widely. Education is seen as a key factor for upward mobility, and many Russians aspire to obtain higher educations.
Okay, about administrative factors, we have that administrative factors are really important for how international business works. They include rules, laws, and how a country is run. In Russia, which is a big and diverse place for business, it's crucial to understand these administrative things for success. This means knowing the rules, how the government works, how to start a business legally, and dealing with issues like too much paperwork and corruption. If businesses can understand and work with this administrative aspect in Russia, they can make smart choices, follow the rules, and build good partnership, which will help them to do well in this ever-changing market. So basically, that is the introduction to administrative factors. So let's talk about the government structure in Russia. Russia has a special way of running its government. It's like a puzzle with three parts. One part make the rules, another part enforce them, and the last part makes sure everything is fair. The leader of this part is President Vladimir Putin, and the person who helps run the government is Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin. There is also a group called the Federal Assembly which helps make the laws. In Russia, the president has a lot of power, but the prime minister helps with the everyday work. This system can be a bit complex, but it's important for international business to understand it if they want to work with the Russian government and deal with its rules. About the regulatory environment, we have that doing business in Russia is quite complicated for companies from other countries. The rules and laws can be hard to understand and they can change a lot. Sometimes the rules are different from what companies are used to in the Western world, which can make things uncertain. To do well in Russia, it's really important to follow the local rules and laws carefully. Companies need to be watchful and keep up with any changes in the rules so they don't break the law. This way, they can reduce risk and have the best chance of succeeding in the diverse Russian market. In order to understand the regulatory environment, it's important to be aware about business registration and licensing, what is and the bureaucracy and corruption. About business registration and licensing, when a company wants to start a business in Russia, one of the most important things they have to do is to follow all the rules and get the right licenses. This means they need to register with the Federal Tax Services, which is the first step to run a legal business. But here is the tricky part. The rules for getting licenses can be very different depending on what kind of business you want to do. This can take a lot of time and can be confusing. So it's a good idea to get help from experienced legal experts who know all the Russian rules for business. They can guide you through the process and make it easier. So your business can follow the law and have a better chance of doing well in Russia. About bureaucracy and corruption, in Russia there are two big problems for international business. Lot of rules and corruption. These rules can slow down businesses because of too much paperwork and waiting to fix this. Businesses need to make friends with the local people and government workers. These friends can help businesses understand the rules and also avoid corruption. By doing this, businesses can be stronger and have a better chance to do well in Russia's complicated administrative system. So now we are going to talk about administrative challenges and opportunities. In Russia, we have several issues, but at the same time, Russia has something to offer to the international companies. For example, a challenge in Russia is the high level of corruption and bureaucracy can pose a significant challenges for foreign business. However, at the same time, Russia offers opportunity for business that can navigate the administrative landscape. So it's a kind of balance there. Other challenge is develop a good understanding of local norms and practices is crucial. This is a kind of difficult, as I said before, because as you know, is really complex about the norms and the law in Russia. However, we have that Russia has a growing domestic market, natural resources, and a skilled workforce. So that can be an advantage to new business or for companies in general. Other challenge is leveraging local expertise. So basically, is the thing about creating new relationship with local people can be a little difficult because I mean it's a different culture. However, if you have a strategic approach to administrative challenges can lead you to success as a business as a business or as an international businessman. Uh, in the end, when it comes to doing business in Russia, the way things are managed can be very complicated and always changing. To success in international business, you need to really understand and adapt to these complicated rules and ways of doing things. This means not just knowing the rules, but also actively getting involved and making friends with local people. This relationship can help a lot when dealing with lots of paperwork and rule changes. Also, it's important to keep a close eye on any rule changes to follow them and find new opportunities. By being proactive in this way, international business can become stronger and do well in the complex world of Russian businesses. Now, our colleague is gonna talk about economic and geographic aspects about Russia. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, ahí va.